time, we'd like to introduce the lineups for both teams, starting with Batavia, who will be the visitors tonight. First, the non-starters for Batavia. Number 2, John Calatonio. Number 4, Lou Colantonio. Number 1, John Clapp. Number 5, Chris Bartz. Number 28, Jason Armstrong. And now for the starting lineup, starting at second base, number 6, Jeff Roach. Batting second and doing the catching, number 9, Robert Ball. Batting third, playing shortstop, number 8, Chris Hoffman. Batting fourth, playing center field, number 11, Rob Hale. Batting fifth, playing third base, number 12, Dave Moore. Batting sixth and playing first base, number 14, Frank Pontillo. Batting seventh, playing left field, number 10, Mark Schulte. Batting eighth, playing right field, number 3, Sam Salome. And batting ninth, doing the pitching, number 7, Brad Mazer. Coach for Batavia, Dave Montemorano, and manager, Randy Jordan. Now for LeRoy, who will be the home team tonight. First non-starters, number 11, Matt Gabby. Number 3, Billy Davis. Number 10, Josh Wallace. Number 2, Mike Mattern. And now for the starting lineup. Leading off, playing left field, number 5, Dan Horgan. Batting second and playing center field, number 1, Jason DeSev. Batting third, playing shortstop, number 4, Tom Dambra. Batting fourth and playing third base, number 6, Bobby Weddle. Batting fifth, playing first base, number 15, Mike Tresco. Batting sixth and doing the catching, number 8, Greg Shoemaker. Batting seventh, playing right field, number 9, Steve Keaton. Batting eighth and doing the pitching, number 13, Tom Rowland. Batting ninth, playing second base, number 14, Dan Cody. Coach for LeRoy, Glenn Robinson, and manager, Tom Borelli. Now, if you would please stand, we'll have the playing of the national anthem. Tonight from Williams Park in Batavia, it's Senior League Baseball. Tonight's game, the 13-year-olds in a District 3 All-Star game. Batavia winning Tuesday night by a score of 5-1, and if they can win tonight, they'll advance and play in Fredonia next weekend. Hi everybody, I'm Rick Krasinski along with George Giannopoulos. Just a couple minutes from the start of tonight's game between Batavia and LeRoy. And we're going to take a short break and be back with LeRoy tonight. The leadoff batter for Batavia, Jeff Roach, hits one down the left field line, and Dan Horgan, the LeRoy left fielder, gives a good chase but cannot come up with the ball. And Roach has an 0-2 count on him.
You,
quickly go over the Batavia starting lineup. Leading off is Jeff Roach playing second base. Sean Ball will be catching, batting second. Chris Hoffman, the shortstop, batting third. Rob Hale batting fourth and playing center field. Dave Moore will start at third base and bat fifth. Frank Pontillo batting sixth, playing first base. Here's Roland's 0-2 pitch on the way inside as Roach backs out. Batting seventh and playing left field will be Mark Schulte. Sam Salome will bat eighth and play right field, and Brad Mazer will get the start on the mound tonight for Batavia. Roach with a 1-2 count. Roland's 1-2 pitch is outside, and the count evens off at 2-2. One thing, George, what you want to do as a pitcher is try to stay ahead of that batter. It makes it a lot easier to pitch if you're ahead in the count.
That's the name of the game, especially for these 13-year-olds throwing 60 feet 6 inches for the first time in their lives.
Here's a 2-2 pitch hit to Danbra, the shortstop. Danbra with the throw in time as Tresco makes the stretch, and there's one down. Tommy Danbra, the LeRoy shortstop, pretty sure glove out there with a good arm, and he comes up with the first play of the game, and one out now, and that'll bring up Sean Ball, the Batavia catcher. He'll bat from the left-hand side.
Sean is aggressive with the bat. Look for him to be a first ball swinger.
Batavia winning last Tuesday night by a score of 5-1, as Dave Moore was the starting pitcher in that game. Struck out 13, only gave up 2 hits. First pitch to ball is outside. The key for Moore in the game, though, he only walked 2, and I think that's one thing you always want to look for in your pitchers is to stay away from those base-on balls.
Yep.
Roland's pitch on the way, and that catches the outside corner for a strike. It'll even the count off at 1-1. So we mentioned if Batavia can win tonight, they'll go to Fredonia next weekend. LeRoy with the win will force a deciding game. Here's the pitch popped up. Roland's going to make the call and makes the catch, and quickly there's 2 outs here in top of the first inning. And in case you're wondering why we're in Batavia, and Batavia is the visiting team in all-star play, Batavia is a host team, and the home team is decided before the game by a coin flip. LeRoy winning the coin flip tonight, and they decided they were going to be the home team. So Batavia the host team, LeRoy the home team, and that's going to bring up Chris Hoffman, the shortstop, the number 3 hitter in this Batavia lineup. First pitch is fouled down the third baseline. And Hoffman with an 0-1 count. So far, George, Roland is staying ahead of the hitters as he gets a first strike there on Hoffman.
They're swinging out a lot of bad pitches, and as they settle down and get into the game, I think they'll lay off some of these bad pitches after a while.
One thing, especially in all-star play, the first inning or two, the butterflies are going to be floating a little bit. Takes a little while to settle down. 0-1 pitch comes up into the dirt. Shoemaker makes a stop. They'll even the count off at 1-1. Overcast night. It's warm and muggy night. The players are going to get loose very quick out there. It's just going to take a couple throws. Threat of rain as it rained just a little bit before the start of the game, but right now no rain. 1-1 pitch is outside, and now Hoffman ahead in the count, 2-1. They had some rain up here in Batavia earlier today, but the field did get ready, and right now looks to be in pretty good shape.
Oh, the field's in beautiful condition. Excellent.
Now if the rain will just stay away for about the next hour and a half, 2 hours, we can get this game in. Next pitch, base hit, center field. Jason Asev, the center fielder, gets it in, and with 2 outs, Chris Hoffman gets a single, and he's down at first base.
Now we have speed on the bases. Look for Batavia to be aggressive, running the bases.
That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Rob Hale. One thing, a big adjustment for these guys. This is their first year playing on a 90-foot diamond. They're used to the 60-foot in Little League, and it's a big transition coming from a 60-foot Little League program to all of a sudden you're up here in Senior League.
Huge transition.
Hale swings and misses at the first pitch, but it gets by Shoemaker, and Hoffman gets down to second base where he's in scoring position now. And if Hale can get the 2-out base hit, Batavia with the chance to take the lead. These are the big hits now, when you get those 2 out base hits with runners in scoring position and get the run in.
It's when you've got to come through. You've got to have the hits when they count.
One of the best at that is Hubie Brooks of the Montreal Expos, who went to Montreal as part of the Gary Carter trade. He's phenomenal with those 2 out RBI base hits, and that's what it's all about. So we have a timeout on the field. Batavia ahead in the series, 1-0 with their 5-1 win last Tuesday night. LeRoy needing a win to even it up. Next pitch is fouled back. Hale with 2 strikes on him. Rowland be looking to put him away right now. Just underway at Williams Park in Batavia. Batavia in the blue, LeRoy in the red. Hale with an 0-2 count. Rowland checks Hoffman, who's at second base now. Hoffman with the single, and he's going to third. Here's the throw down to third. It's going to be wide. Shoemaker's throw down to Bobby Weddle was wide, and Hoffman easily steals third, where he can score now on any type of air, pass ball, or anything and get down here. One thing, though, you might want to question why you would be stealing third, though, with 2 outs. We're on a base hit. You're going to most likely score anyway, with the chance of getting throwing out. As Tim McCarver says, you don't want to make the first or third out at third base. So
that's true, but as I said, this Batavia team is going to be aggressive, and they're going to go for every base they can
and
get.
There
like
it is.
That, right there.
And that's why manager Randy Jordan ran him down to third. As Tom Rowland tried to pick him off, and the ball got by Bobby Weddle, and the arrow have to go, I would imagine, to Rowland, as it was a bad throw. And easily Hale or Hoffman comes in to score. And that's where you're talking about that speed. Hoffman with the single, gets the second on a pass ball, steals third, and comes home on the wild pickoff attempt. And Batavia now, after 2 were out, with a 1-0 lead. That's how you manufacture a run with a little bit of speed. Actually, I think it doesn't matter now. There was a balk called on the play anyway, and that's what manager Tom Borelli is out there talking about right now. Is Rowland balked on the throw to third. Ball got by anyway. Batavia gets the run. Hale still up at the plate with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes, ready to get going again here. Here's the 1-2 pitch, swung on and fouled down third base side. Another pitch, George, inside, and Hale taking a swing at it and had no place to put it but pull it right down towards the left field fence.
That's all he could do with that pitch. That's all he's going to do with it all night long if he keeps swinging at it.
So Rowland getting some help from the Batavia batters, as a few of his pitches have been inside, but they've been swinging away. Once again, the 1-2 pitch just outside, gets away from Shoemaker, but nobody on now, so it won't make a difference, and they'll even the count off at 2-2.
Rowland has thrown a lot of wild pitches this inning.
Did hurt him with Hoffman being on. That's how he got down to second. 2-2 pitch, once again fouled third base side. Hale sticking right in there and fouling the pitches off.
He's a good contact hitter. Also hits with power. So with 2 strikes on him, he's just trying to make contact and meet the ball.
That's all you want to do is just, if it's not a good pitch you want to hit, you foul it off, stay alive, and wait for your pitch. Out of the strike zone, you let it go. Rowland was ahead, 0-2 on the count. It's 2-2 now as Hale has fouled off 3 or 4 pitches. And that pitch hit into left field and drops in just over the outstretched hands of Bobby Weddle, deep in the hole, and Danborough picks it up, but without a chance to get Hale.
Talk about a game of inches again. There it is, just inches out of the reach of the third baseman, and the ball drops in.
Weddle making the try for it, but just over his outstretched glove, and now Batavia, after 2 are out, Hoffman singled, went to second on the pass ball, stole third and came home on the balk, and now Hale also singles. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Dave Moore. As we mentioned, Dave Moore, the winning pitcher in game 1 as he threw a 2-hitter in Batavia's 5-1 win. Hale with a good lead at first, and Rowland steps off, and now another balk. Rowland's confused out there, and that's another thing as we're talking about, the adjustment from Little League to Senior League. Little League, you don't have to worry about leadoffs and going from the stretch. It's a full windup, and now when you have to go from the stretch, it's a whole new thing. And especially maybe in your own league, you might get away with things like that. And with these all-star umps here tonight, you're not going to get away with the ball.
That's right. And the mistake he made that time is he stepped off the rubber towards home plate. You must always step back behind the rubber when you step off the rubber.
Just like that, Batavia again with a runner in scoring position. Moore takes the first pitch inside. Puts the count at 1-0.
Davey Moore is probably the best athlete on this Batavia team. He does everything well.
Pitch hit to Danbra at shortstop. Danbra fields it cleanly, throws to Tresco in time for the out, and that's going to do it for Batavia, but they do come up with one run in the top of the first inning. The score at the end of the top of the first is Batavia 1 and LeRoy coming to bat. And we'll be back right after this. Batavia on top of LeRoy by a score of 1-0. LeRoy coming to bat here in the bottom of the first inning. On the mound for Batavia will be number 7, Brad Mazer. And George, what kind of pitcher is Brad Mazer?
Brad throws 2 pitches, fastball, not overpowering speed, but good control, good location, and he does throw a changeup curveball. So look for him to mix his pitches up well, and very heady pitcher. He won't make many mistakes out there on the mound. Good glove man. He'll play defensively at his position in a superb manner.
Taking a look at the pitcher right now, Brad Mazer, as he's getting ready to throw his first pitch to LeRoy's leadoff batter, the left fielder, Dan Horgan. Batavia on top, 1-0. They scored 1 in the top of the first inning. Mazer's first pitch is high and outside. Horgan takes for a ball. George, once again, we were talking here between the LeRoy coming up to bat about the adjustment from the 46 feet that they're used to pitching to 60 feet 6 inches. That extra 14.5 feet, quite an adjustment for these guys. Horgan gets around on the fastball and fouls it down the left side.
It's an incredible adjustment when you stop and think of it. A year ago, these guys were running 60 feet between bases, and of course that affects tremendously the throw, especially from deep hole at third base and shortstop. And then the pitcher having moving back almost 50% further.
Pitch is outside, and Horgan now with a count of 2-1. It's almost like it's too big of a jump for him coming from Little League. Sometimes there's kids in Little League you think are too big for the league, but then once they get up here, they just seem almost out of place. And
exactly. And the pitch is outside. Count goes to 3-1.
Mazer.
Yeah, some of the guys who are fence busters in Little League do well to get it out of the infield when they move up to senior division.
Horgan ahead in the count, 3-1. Mazer's pitch catches the corner. Now a full count to Dan Horgan.
Usually when he has to, Mazer can throw a strike.
Dan Horgan starting in left field tonight as he did the other night. Here's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Mazer comes back after falling behind on the count, 3-1 to strike out Dan Horgan. And that'll bring up the left-handed batting Jason DeSev, LeRoy center fielder. DeSev getting back deep in the box. Mazer's first pitch just catches the outside corner right on the black. And even though the black isn't part of the plate, that's the saying, right? Right on the black.
The umpire has a wide strike zone tonight.
DeSev right back up the middle, but Mazer fields it cleanly and throws to first in time. And as you said, Mazer can field his position well and shows it right there.
There's that quick glove and quick reaction, hit right back at him, and he didn't blink an eye, picked it up and threw him out.
And now the sun pops through.
Which makes it even warmer up here.
Well, you warm up here? Air conditioning's not working. See if we can get it fixed by the third inning.
Yeah.
Tommy Danbra stepping in now for LeRoy. Let's go with the bat. As he fouls the first pitch off, and the count 0-1 on Danbra. Danbra, a good contact hitter. He'll go with the pitch. Does have some power, but once again, power on a field like this is really non-existent as far as putting one out. 330 to straightaway center field, 300 down the left field line, and 310 down the right field line.
I don't look for any long balls here tonight.
No, if a 13-year-old can put one out of here, they're going to have some scouts looking at him real quick. Dambra fouls that one out of play on the third base side. And Mazer ahead on the count, 0-2 to Tommy Dambra. Dambra defensively in the first inning, coming up with 2 assists. He is the starting shortstop for LeRoy. Count is 1-2 to Dambra, not 0-2. Bottom of the first inning, Batavia on top, 1-0. Dambra swings and goes into right field with the pitch for the base hit. Tom Dambra, a 2-out base runner, just as Batavia did. Chris Hoffman with 2 outs singled, and now Tommy Dambra for LeRoy singles. That'll bring up third baseman Bobby Weddle. It's Frank Pontillo holding Dambra on at first base. And now Mazer working out of the stretch. Weddle showing a bunt, pushes through and misses. Strike 1. Batavia defense a little slow moving on the bunt as nobody was really charging.
Yes, they were. They caught him sleeping on that one.
And that'll bring the third baseman, Dave Moore, in about 2 steps now, as he'll be watching to see if Weddle will try to lay the bunt down again. Weddle swinging away this time, but the pitch is in the dirt and stopped by Sean Ball. Or is it Rob Ball?
I think he goes by Sean. He likes to be called Sean. Let's call him Sean.
Weddle with the 1-1 count, and the next pitch from Mazer is also down in the dirt, and that runs the count to 2-1. Tommy Dambra, the 2-out base runner, down at first base.
Cleanup hitter up. Mazer seems to be overthrowing just a little bit, trying to put a little more on that ball.
And Mike Tresco waiting on deck for LeRoy. Weddle, shot up the middle, base hit. Dambra gets to second as it's fielded out in center field by Rob Hale. Gets the ball in quickly, and LeRoy now, after 2 are out, with a threat of their own going as Dambra singles and then Weddle singles to center field. Dambra having to hold at second base as Hale came in quickly on the ball. Almost looked like he might have a play at second base on Dambra.
That sometimes is made at this division. You can play the outfield shallow because the 13-year-olds aren't a threat to go to the fence, and sometimes you can get a play like that. Again, the 90-foot base paths, it's awful hard for these 13-year-olds to get there.
Mike Tresco swings, hits it down to third to Moore. Moore will take it right to third base on the force out, and that gets Batavia out of slight difficulty. So for LeRoy, no runs on, 2 hits in the first inning. And the score at the end of 1, it's Batavia 1, LeRoy 0. And we'll be back with the second inning right after this. Rick Krasinski back with George Giannopoulos at Williams Park in Batavia. 13-year-old senior Little League Baseball District 3. If Batavia can win tonight's game, they'll advance and play in Fredonia next week. If LeRoy wins, they'll have to have a deciding third game of this series, as it's 2 out of 3. Batavia the last couple years, George, had a bye as there were no other teams in District 3 with an all-star team. LeRoy, after taking a couple years off, back in all-star competition. So Batavia now having to win District 3 before they get to advance to Buffalo this year. First pitch to the first baseman, Frank Pontillo, is high and tight. Pontillo takes for a ball 1. Mentioned the umpires in tonight's game. The home plate umpire is Sam Garino, and Chuck Butler is on the bases. It was Chuck Butler out talking to Tom Rowland as he was taking his warm-up pitches and explaining the balk calls to him. Was Rowland twice in the first inning balking.
That's an important part of this level, is to educate and train the kids. So the umpires are usually good to give thorough explanations and demonstrate. In fact, the home plate umpire is doing this right now.
What happened now, he's warning Rowland. Rowland went to his mouth. And if you go to your mouth on the mound, it's a ball. And the count goes to 2-0. Only time you go to your mouth on the mound is if you get permission before the game. And I think with tonight's weather condition, he's not going to get the permission to go to his mouth.
No, I wouldn't think so. Ball fouled off.
Pontillo fouling it away, and the count goes to 2-1. Temperature must be around 80, 85 degrees, and in the booth about 110, 115.
At least.
No.
Batavia scoring one in the top of the first. LeRoy with a mild threat but did not score. And we're just starting the top of the second inning with Batavia on top 1-0. And a base hit to left field by Pontillo as he pulled it right in the hole between Dambra and Weddle. And Pontillo leads off the second inning with a single. And I think there's no question, George, getting that leadoff batter on is very important for the offense and for the defense. You want to get that first batter out because the odds will show that first batter, if he leads off and gets on, usually comes around to score.
Absolutely.
Schulte swings and misses at the first pitch. Mark Schulte, the Batavia left fielder, the 7th batter in this Batavia lineup tonight. Tresco holding Pontillo on at first base. And another swing and a miss by Schulte as he looks like he's pulling away a little bit from the ball as the first 2 pitches have been a little bit outside, and he's pulling that front side out a little bit. And that's what Randy Jordan's telling him right now is keep the front side in, because if you pull that front side out, you're in big trouble.
Very good analysis. Probably the one man on the Batavia team on first base that we would not expect to steal.
Back to Roland, but he has trouble with it, and everybody's going to be safe. Schulte hit it right back to Tom Roland. Looked like it might be a chance for a double play, at least for sure getting the lead runner at second base, but it went off of Roland's glove.
Those comebackers to the pitcher at this level are also your surest opportunity for double play, and the pitcher's got to field his position. You've got to be able to use that glove and make the plays.
You mentioned that about Mazur, and he showed it in the first inning as he stopped Jason DeSev's ground ball right up through the middle and threw him out, and right there Roland could have helped himself out. Yes, there definitely should be at least one out, and Schulte probably would have beat it out. They wouldn't have turned 2, but instead of having one down and a runner just at first, Batavia threatening with runners at first and second and nobody out here in the top of the second inning. Sam Salome batting for Batavia. Takes the pitch high and it evens the count off at 1-1. Sam Salome starting out in right field for Batavia. Frank Pontillo down at second base. Mark Schulte down at first base, nobody out. Official score giving Roland the error. And Roland's next pitch inside. Roland down to the 8th hitter in the lineup. But one thing in all-star play, the 8th hitter doesn't nearly mean as much, because if he's an 8th hitter here, he might be the 3rd, 4th hitter for his team in his own league. So you got to.
And there's another balk called on.
Roland's really confused now. He looks over
the LeRoy
Coach
pitcher. Yep.
Tom Borelli asking, what did I do now? And once again, Sam Garino, tonight's home plate umpire, explaining to him. Roland getting himself in all kinds of trouble here in the second inning as Mark Schulte ground ball eluded him, and now he balks the runners to second and
you
third.
hate to see this. You hate to see a kid make these mistakes and get down on himself. So we hope he can just keep fighting it.
Swing and a miss. I think that's the second strike. Salome still in there. Now with runners at second and third, Roland going right from the windup. 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on, hit to second base. Cody thinking about coming home, wouldn't have had a chance, and makes the right play as he throws over to Tresco. But Salome getting the job done, gets the RBI as he slapped the ball to second base. Dan Cody throwing onto Mike Tresco at first, but on the play, Frank Pontillo comes home to score, and that gives Batavia 2-0 lead. Schulte goes down to third base. With the 9th batter now, Randy Jordan, would he put on the squeeze right here?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see that exact play. We got some speed at third base.
Especially
and,
with Roland
Mazur
going for
can
that
handle
windup.
it that well.
And Tom Borelli must be thinking the same thing, because he's told Roland to go from the stretch, and now Roland going from the stretch. First pitch bounces in the dirt, and Shoemaker makes the block on it.
No indication of a bunt on that first pitch.
It's a nice looking play when it works, but when the batter misses the pitch, kind of can backfire on you in a hurry. 1-0 pitch swung on to Cody. He's going to come home this time. Here's the throw to Shoemaker. Not in time as Schulte beat the throw and slid under the tag by Shoemaker. Greg probably a little back of the plate, wanted to be out a little bit more to block the plate. And Batavia now with a 3-0 lead. And we have a pinch hitter here for Batavia, John Clapp. Will be hitting for Jeff Roach. Mazer will go to first base on the fielder's choice as Cody decided to come home.
On that last play, Schulte hesitated coming from third, and that's what drew the throw in. And then he made a nice slide to elude the high throw, and the catcher just couldn't get the tag down.
The throw would have been right on the money. They would have had him, but it was a little high. And then Schulte got under the tag by Shoemaker. Throw down to Tresco at first base, but Mazer easily back. John Clapp pinch hitting here in the top of the second inning for Jeff Roach. Pitch hit down to third. Weddle's going to field it. Going to second base. Throw in the dirt and then dropped by Cody. Mazer stays at second base as Cody did get his glove on it. Deflected. It didn't go far enough into right field for Mazer to have a chance to go. And Bobby Weddle will pick up an error on the throw. And LeRoy getting into all kinds of trouble this inning is that's their second error of the inning along with a balk. There's one out now, and Sean Ball, the catcher, the second batter in the lineup for Batavia, is up to bat now. Left-hander swings and misses the first pitch. We'll have to look and see if Mazer might be thinking about stealing third. He had a good lead on that pitch. Ball taking a minute to step out, gets time, and now steps back in. He's ready to go.
Sean Ball is capable of putting this ball over the outfielder's head where they're playing.
Next pitch outside in the dirt, but Shoemaker getting the glove in front of it. Count goes to 1-1 on Sean Ball. Batavia out in front 3-0, and LeRoy only scoring one in the first game. Want to try to keep this game close. It's early. We're only in the top of the second inning. But with these overcast skies and no lights, might get dark here kind of quick tonight. Next pitch is foul ticked. Shoemaker catches it clean, the second strike.
That was the pitch that Ball wanted. He likes that pitch up around the shoulders, but he didn't make contact.
Rolling ahead, 1-2 on the count to Ball. One down, runners at first and second, and once again, we have another balk. Say the third or fourth one already.
I've lost track myself. Three.
Roland's third balk of the night. Once again now Batavia with runners at second and third. And now Roland back to the full windup. The ball's going to step out for a second. Now once again the situation with a runner down at third, Mazer with good speed. Your second batter usually with good bat control. But 2 strikes, gets a deep fly or to right field, right down the line, and it's a fair ball. That'll score at least one. And then Tresco running it back in.
Only scored one because the base runners had to hold up. It was high enough to where 3 guys had to play at it. The first baseman, the second baseman, the right fielder, but it just one of those in between that no one could get a glove on.
Clapp kind of went back to second base like he was going to tag on it. If he'd come off about halfway, he probably would have scored easily, but he was back at second base, and then once the ball dropped on the line, he had to go the full 90 feet just to get to third. So Ball must have been thinking, or Clapp must have been thinking about tagging up on the play. Otherwise, he probably would have scored easily on it as the ball came right down on the line. This ball hit to third. It's a fair ball. Fielded by Weddle. He had the runner trapped at third. Goes to first, and it's dropped by Tresco. And LeRoy making another mistake right there as Weddle fielded the ball cleanly. He had Clapp easily trapped off third base if he would have ran the ball right at him and then decided to go to first.
Dead in his tracks.
And Hoffman down at first base. Runners at first and third. Still only one out here in the top of the second inning. And Batavia has increased their lead to 5-0. Bobby Weddle will pick up his second error of the inning on the throw again. And that pitch inside, but once again, Hale fouls it off the left side. He did that in the first inning, too, as he was swinging those inside pitches. Batavia with a play set up here is Chris Hoffman running at first. Was kind of delaying down to second, trying to draw a throw for a chance for a ball to come down and score from third. Tresco not holding on, the runner at first. Pitch inside, 1-1, and LeRoy letting Hoffman steal second base easily on the play. And Batavia now again with runners in the scoring positions at second and third with only one out here in the second inning. Batavia with a chance to put this game away early. Pitch catches the outside corner, strike two. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Rob Hale, Batavia starting center fielder. Hale doing a little work in the batter's box, trying to get his feet set comfortable in there. Here's the pitch, swung on, blooped right back to Rowland. He's got the runner trapped off second base. Here's the throw to Dambra, steps on second for the double play. So Rowland makes up a little bit for the error there as he caught the little looping line drive, and then he throws behind to catch Chris Hoffman, who was off the base.
Very poor base running job there. With one out, he was running the pop-up right, obviously.
Batavia on top of LeRoy by a score of 5-0 as we're going to the bottom of the second inning. Batavia scoring 1 in the first and coming up with 4 in the top of the second inning, helped along by 3 errors by the LeRoy defense. And then LeRoy getting out of the inning on a double play as Chris Hoffman, Batavia center fielder, the runner at second base, was trapped off on a pop back to Rowland the pitcher, and he was doubled off. First batter here in the bottom of the second inning for LeRoy is the catcher, number 8, Greg Shoemaker.
Now batting for LeRoy, the catcher, Greg Shoemaker.
One thing now, Mazer with a 5-0 lead. Makes it nice for a pitcher with that lead.
The brown one?
Senior League Baseball, it's 7 innings. Little League at 6, but in Senior League it's 7. Next pitch, Shoemaker swings through, foul, ticks it. Shoemaker still ahead on the count, 2-1. John Clapp, who pitch hit for Roach in the second inning, stays in the game at second base. George, you get any word on Roach? Is he hurt or?
No, apparently the Batavia coach, Randy Jordan, just wanted to get some subs into this game early on with a lead this early in the game.
And Clapp staying in the game at second base. Next pitch outside. And it'll put the count at 3-2. Shoemaker leading it off here in the bottom of the second inning for LeRoy. And LeRoy, I'm sure, would like to score 1 or 2 runs here to get back into the game as they're down by a score of 5-0. Shoemaker swings and misses, strike 3. Mazer, after falling behind the count 2-0, comes back to strike out Shoemaker, and there's one out here in the bottom of the second inning. That's going to bring up the right fielder, Steve Keaton, LeRoy's 7th batter. So we have a timeout as Frank Pontillo, the first baseman, is tying his shoes back up. Keaton batting from the left-hand side. Pitch is low, ball 1. So again, if we mentioned, if Batavia does win tonight, they go to Fredonia next week, and it's a little bit different. There's going to be seven or eight teams there for a tournament. The winner will win the Section 1 But that's all done this weekend.
7 teams, and it's a 2-day tournament.
Where Little League, it's a little bit different. You win your district, then you go on and play one of the Rochester teams, and you play it 1 game at a time and go from there. Once you lose, you're out. But the Senior League going with the 2-day tournament. Called strike 2 on Keaton. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mazer has not walked a batter yet. He struck out 2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3, and that's Mazer's 3rd strikeout now as he has struck out both Shoemaker and Keaton here in the 2nd inning.
Those last 2 pitches were a pitching coach's dream. Inside corner, outside corner.
You have to learn how to work the plate. Inside, outside, up, down. You don't want to be putting the pitch right in the same place every time, especially as you start getting a little bit older and going up into senior league and high school baseball. There's more than just throwing the ball over the plate. Tommy Rowland, LeRoy's pitcher in there, strike 1 on him. Next pitch just high. Evens the count off at 1-1. Looked like Sam Garino wanted to call it a strike, but then decided it was just a little bit too high. We have timeout on the field now. Batavia's assistant coach Dave Montemorano talking to Tom Borelli with the book in his hand, and if it was batting out of order, you wouldn't want to do it yet because you got to wait till after the batter's done for it to be batting out of order. You do it before, you just switch the batters, but Rowland is the 8th batter, and we're right there. I don't know if that was the trouble. Rowland swings, hits it in the hole, second base side for a base hit. Rowland trying to help his own cause out as he's on the losing side as the starting pitcher right now with Batavia on top, 5-0. Rowland slaps a single to the right side, and with 2 outs, he'll be the runner down to first, and that's going to bring up the second baseman, Dan Cody. Cody looking down at the signs of manager Tom Borelli. Cody the 9th batter, but with 2 outs, if he's going to put a bunt down, he's going to have to do it for a base hit. Mazer's first pitch is high. And Cody once again looking down at Borelli. It almost looked like they got something on here, but with the 2-out situation, it really...
I wouldn't think so. And down by 5 runs.
The steal is on. Cody fouls the pitch back and out of play, so the hit and run was on. That's what Cody was looking down for. Yes, Rowland got to jump down to first base. Cody fouls the pitch out of play, though. Rowland with a good jump on the play. One thing on a hit and run, though, it's the hitter's responsibility to just put the bat on the ball. Runner's responsibility is not so much a stolen base in that situation as it is for the hitter to hit the hole and then move the runner to third base. But Rowland had a good jump and might have stolen second base had Cody missed the pitch.
I think he would have been in there.
Rowland's going again. Pitch is low. Throw to the right side. Rowland overruns second base, but the ball goes into center field and Hale backs it up. Rowland almost making a mistake there. Had the ball been held on cleanly out of second base by Clapp, he didn't slide and he took a little bit of turn at second base, and with a good throw they could have tagged him overrunning the base.
The most basic things the coach tries to teach his players is to always slide, whether there's a play or not.
You cannot outrun a baseball.
Absolutely.
If you've ever tried it, you know you just can't do it. It's impossible. And you can't stop quick. You got to hit the dirt, especially on a steal play. Pitch catches the outside corner for strike 2. That evens it off at 2-2. Cody would like to get a base hit here for a chance to score Rowland and get on the scoreboard as they're down 5-0 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. Rowland getting the lead. Clapp comes over to Holmes. Pitch popped up to shortstop, being called by Hoffman, and Hoffman makes the catch for the out. Rowland gets down to second base, but Cody cannot get him home as he pops out to shortstop, and the score at the end of 2 innings, it's Batavia 5, LeRoy 0, and we'll be back with the top of the 3rd inning right after. Rick Krasinski back with George Giannopoulos at Williams Park in Batavia. And both coaches making some changes now. Now pitching for LeRoy is Bobby Weddle. He'll replace Rowland. Leading off the top of the third inning for Batavia is Dave Moore, the third baseman. He grounded out to the shortstop, Tom Dambra, in the first inning. Swings and misses, strike two. Down at third base, Josh Walls is into the game.
Third baseman, Dave Moore.
And Tom Rowland out of the game now. Weddle on the mound, Wallace into the game at third base. Fly ball, center field, Jason DeSev under it and makes the catch. He didn't make it easily, but he made the catch. As the ball started sailing a little bit on him, the left-handed Jason
DeSev. A little bit of a
DeSev.
snow cone in the tip of that glove.
But he does make the catch, and there's one out here in the third inning. So Weddle retires his first batter. And that's going to bring up the first baseman, number 14, Frank Pontillo. Hit to Dambra, backhands it, picks it clean, throws to first, stretched by Tresco, touches the base, in and out. Tom Dambra with a nice backhand play there. Then the throw pulled Tresco off a little bit, but he had enough time to reach back and touch the base. And quickly here in the top of the third inning, Weddle has gotten the first two Batavia batters, and they'll bring up Mark Schulte. Schulte back last inning in the second inning, grounded one back to Rowland, who was pitching at the time, and went off of Rowland's glove for an error. Schulte beat it out, and that started some trouble for LeRoy in the second inning as Batavia went on to score 4 runs. Swung on, hit the center field again. DeSev making the run, still running, dives, and it just comes out of his glove. Schulte rounds at first, but will stay. DeSev with a nice running try on that one. Made the dive, ball hit on the glove, but could not hang on to it as he lost it when he made contact with the ground.
Excellent attempt, though. What a tremendous all-star effort that was.
One thing about Jason DeSev, he comes to play, he'll give you 110% every game. He's the type of kid that every guy would love to coach. As you tell him what to do one time and he does it. Really good attitude on Jason DeSev, the center fielder, and he just made a nice try, diving for the base hit by Schulte, but just falling out of his glove. Once again now with 2 outs, Batavia with a runner at first base.
What's it go for, Frank?
Pitch taken by Sam Salome there for a strike, and the count is 1-1.
For the balls.
Weddle trying to hold Batavia off the scoreboard here in the third inning. Off the plate, back to Weddle. Weddle fields it, throws to first in time. And LeRoy shuts out Batavia in the third. And Salome grounds it back to Weddle. Weddle making the play on the ball, hit off of the plate, and throws to Tresco in time. So Batavia scores no runs in the third inning on one base hit. The score at the end of 2.5. It's Batavia 5, LeRoy nothing. And we'll be back with the bottom of the third inning right after this. Some changes here as we go to the bottom of the third inning for Batavia now. Lou Colantonio goes into the game. He'll go to left field, and the starting left fielder, Mark Schulte, will move over to center field. And Rob Hale comes out of the game. For LeRoy in the third inning, Dan Horgan, the leadoff batter and left fielder, will lead it off in the third. Danny striking out in the first inning. Also some other changes for LeRoy. Josh Walls, who was in the game at third base last inning, was in the game and batting in the position held by Tom Rowland, who started the game at pitching. First pitch to Horgan is fouled straight back and out of play. And Rowland was taken out of the game. Walls went to third, and the starting third baseman, Bobby Weddle, moved on to the mound. And Coach Tommy Relli giving us some more changes here that will take place this inning. Matt Gabby will go into the game in right field for Steve Keaton, and Billy Davis will bat for Dan Cody, but that's down the lineup a ways yet as Horgan is the first batter. Horgan swings and misses, strike 2. LeRoy needing some base runners to get a few runs to get back into this game. Pitch high and tight to Horgan. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One thing with an 0-2 count, you don't want to throw a good pitch in there. You throw what is known as a pitcher's pitch and see if the batter will bite.
That's 2 pitches he's wasted that were nowhere near the strike zone, so the batter just took them.
Now you don't want to waste the third pitch. Then you go from having the lead in the count to being behind in the count. Here's the 2-2 pitch by Mazur on the way, and that is low in the dirt. Now Horgan once again with a 3-2 count. As it was on a 3-2 count in the first inning that Horgan struck out, so we'll have to see if Mazur can do it again or if Horgan can either get the walk or the base hit here. Bottom of the third inning once again. LeRoy, the home team tonight, even though in Batavia, they won the coin toss before the game. And they decided they were going to be the home team. Here's the 3-2 pitch. High and outside, and home plate umpire Sam Garino pointing to first base. Almost looked like he was putting the right hand up for a strike 3 call on a pitch that was high and outside, but he was just pointing for Danny Horgan to go down to first base. LeRoy now with the chance. They have their leadoff runner for the first time in the game. DeSev showing a bunt, and Mazur throwing the pitch over the head of Sean Ball. Horgan easily getting down to second base. And that'll be a wild pitch on Mazur.
Now this shows some real poise. The third baseman, Davey Moore, comes in to talk to his pitcher and try to get him to settle down a little bit there. That was obviously a mistake on his part. They were looking for the steal. Maybe he was trying to throw a pitch out and just released it too high and threw it clear over the head of the catcher.
And Brad doesn't want to worry about it. He's got that 5-0 lead. Here's DeSev, fly ball to center field. Schulte makes the catch. Horgan's tagging, trying to go to third. Here's the throw easily in time. And Schulte making a perfect throw to third baseman Dave Moore, and Danny Horgan did not have a chance as he was thrown out by a good 15 to 20 feet. And LeRoy already down by a score of 5-0 with a bad base running mistake right there. DeSev flying out to center field, and then Horgan thrown out at third base.
Yeah, the coach has to take the blame for that mistake. Should never have sent the man with the ball to shallow center field and a strong arm out there in the form of Mark Schulte.
And Randy Jordan, the Batavia coach, looks real good on that as he just moved Schulte to center field at the start of this inning, as he had put in Lou Colantonio, who went to left field. Schulte, who had started at left field, moved to center field, and Schulte with a strong throw to Moore at third base to nail Horgan. And now LeRoy, already down by a score of 5-0, has 2 outs here in the bottom of the third inning. So again, Batavia won the first game, played last Tuesday night by a score of 5-1. Dave Moore was the pitcher for Batavia in that game as he struck out 13, only allowed 2 hits and only walked 2. LeRoy only scoring 1 run, and now they've been shut out here so far through 2 2/3 of this game. Batavia already matching their run total of the other night. If they've scored 5 in the first 3 innings, scoring 5 runs in the first 2 innings, 1 in the first and 4 in the second. The 4 in the second helped along by 3 LeRoy errors and a balk. Now Danbra slaps it to the right side for a base hit. Danbra with his second hit of the game, and that's where the base running mistake just hurt LeRoy, as Horgan would have had a chance to score on that play. But now with 2 outs, Danbra with his second hit of the game once again at first base, and that'll bring up Bobby Weddle, who started tonight's game at third base and then came in the top of the third to do the pitching, and he threw well in the third inning as he got Dave Moore to fly to center, Frank Pontillo to ground to Danbra at shortstop, who made a fantastic backhand play. Danbra stealing second, foul ball as Weddle swung through and fouled it back. And then in the third inning, Schulte hit a fly ball to center field at Jason DeSev with an excellent effort, trying to make the diving catch. It went off of his glove. But then Weddle got Sam Salone to ground right back to him, and Batavia was shut out for the first time in their 3 innings tonight. But Batavia on top 5-0. Once again, Danbra going, and Mazur going from a full windup there. And Danbra with no trouble getting down to second base, as once he starts that windup, you just take off. You can't stop in the middle. That'd be a balk.
It's uncharacteristic of Mazur. He usually very heady young man and doesn't make mistakes like that. He just about gave him that base.
Now going from the stretch. Pitch catches the outside corner for strike 2 on Weddle. 1-2. Weddle right now doing the pitching. Tom Rowland, the pitcher of record for LeRoy. Weddle swings and misses, strike 3. So Mazur comes back to strike out Bobby Weddle after giving up the 2-out base hit to Tommy Dambra. And that does it for 3 innings here at Williams Park in Batavia. And the score at the end of 3, it's Batavia 5, LeRoy nothing. And we'll be back right after this. Billy Davis. And out in right field, Matt Gabby will take the place of Steve Keaton. Gabby in right field and will bat 7th. Davis at second base will bat 9th for LeRoy. Bobby Weddle starts his second inning of pitching and throws high and outside to Batavia's pitcher, Brad Mazur. Mazur throwing a shutout through the first 3 innings for Batavia.
Brad Mazur.
He's allowed 4 hits and struck out 4 LeRoy batters. Mazur hitting the ball to second base in the second inning, and on the play, Batavia scoring a run. So Mazur 0 for 1 on the fielder's choice, but getting the run home for Batavia. Weddle falling behind on the count, 3-0. And Mazur will be taking the pitch right here. And he takes a strike to run the count to 3-1. On deck for Batavia, John Clapp, who came into the game pinch hit in the second inning, reached on a throwing error by Bobby Weddle, who was playing third base in the second inning. Next pitch fouled off the right side, not a play. What do you say the crowd's at tonight, George? 21, 22,000? Pitch catches the outside corner for strike 3. Weddle falling behind in the count, comes back to throw 3 straight strikes. As Weddle caught the outside corner on Mazur. Mazur taking the pitch, and he was called out. So Weddle striking out Mazur, and that's going to bring up John Clapp. Clapp playing second base now for Batavia. Hit to right center field. Gabby moving over, but it's going to fall in for a base hit. Gabby gets it back in, and Clapp down at first base now here in the 4th inning for Batavia. Sean Ball, the right-handed throwing, left-handed hitting catcher for Batavia, stepping in. Weddle's first pitch inside, swung at and missed, gets by Shoemaker. And Clapp easily down to second base. Batavia with a runner in scoring position again. Batavia already on top by a score of 5-0. And now John Clapp, after singling to right field, going to second base on the pass ball. And there's another base hit to right field. Have to see if Clapp is going to try to score. It's fielded by Gabby. He's going to stay at third. It's cut off by Weddle. Clapp kind of went back to the base on the base hit, and he got a late start to third.
Yes, he did. That's the second time he's been on second base now, and made a mistake in the base running department.
So mistake there by LeRoy, too. Right as Weddle was going into the pitch, Billy Davis, the second baseman, started running over to second base to hold on Clapp. And Weddle let the pitch go while Davis was still out of position. And now they're going to give Ball second base, no ball call. Weddle running after him. Now he's got the runner trapped at third, throws to third in time for the out. So Batavia trying to put on a play, but LeRoy defense coming alive that time. And Weddle doing a good job as he throws out Clapp at third base. Coach Randy Jordan trying to put a play on with Sean Ball getting in the rundown, which would have given Clapp a chance to score. But Weddle doing the play exactly right, running at the runner at first base, and then as soon as Clapp started to come from third, he came right back to third and threw him out easily. Pitch in the dirt, runner going to third, he'll make it as Shoemaker had trouble finding it as he blocked it with his chest protector, and then could not find the ball as it fell in front of him. And Sean Ball gets down to third base, but now Batavia with 2 outs here in the 4th inning. 2-0 count on Hoffman, the shortstop. Next pitch is high. Hoffman singling in the first inning and scoring a run, and then he got on in the second inning on a throwing error by Bobby Weddle. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Lunged after that high outside one.
Or make it strike one is the count was 3-1. He must have gone after a 3-0 pitch. Swings and misses again. That's strike two, and now we'll have a full count. 3-2 count on Hoffman. Sean Ball, the runner, down at third here with 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. Batavia on top of LeRoy by a score of 5-0. Weddle into the windup. Here's the pitch, fouled back down the right side. Hoffman staying alive as he fouls the pitch back and out of play. Look at Bobby Weddle. Came in last inning to do the pitching for LeRoy, and that pitch is high. Ball 4. Hoffman going down to first, and we'll have to see now if, and here we go, he's going to second base. We're going to run the play again. He's out, and no run scored. So Batavia twice trying to run a play to get that runner home from third base, and both times Bobby Weddle doing the exact right play as that time. He ran right after the runner, Chris Hoffman, through to second base in time, and the tag was put on Hoffman before the run could come home, so the run does not count. So Batavia getting 2 runners throwing out as they try to steal a run in the 4th inning, and the score at the end of 3.5, it's Batavia 5, LeRoy nothing. We'll be back right after. Now, one difference between tournament play and regular league play during the season is not every player on the team has to play. During the season, everybody has to get in and get in at bat. Tonight, the coach does not have to put the bench in. It's up to him. And first pitch to Tresco is down in the dirt. Ball 1.
And now batting for LeRoy, the first baseman, Mike Tresco.
LeRoy down 5-0, needing some runs here in the 4th inning to get back into this game. Mazer has shut him out through the first 3, and Mazer comes back with a strike to Tresco.
That was a low strike on the outside corner. If he can keep that pitch there, no one's going to hit it.
Tresco hits it up in the air, and Roach calling for it at second base, and Roach makes the catch. Roach back into the game, and he gets the chance right there and makes the catch on Tresco.
And that was a major league pop-up.
Tresco getting under it and lifting it up on the right side. Roach getting under it, making the catch, and that's 1 down for LeRoy here in the 4th inning.
Jeff Roach normally plays the outfield in the regular league, and so that was, he's very familiar with looking at that high fly ball.
Greg Shoemaker, LeRoy catcher, now up to bat. Greg striking out in the 2nd inning and swings and misses at Brad Mazer's first pitch.
Now batting the catcher, Greg Shoemaker.
Mazer with 4 strikeouts through 3 1/3 innings. Next pitch is outside. Mazer's only given up 4 base hits and only walked 1. That was Dan Horgan to start off the 3rd inning, but then Horgan, after being down to second base, tried to tag up on a fly ball to center field, and Schulte threw to third base to Dave Moore and plenty of time to nail Horgan at third base for the 2nd out, and then Tommy Dambra had a single to right field that might have scored Horgan. And then Weddle struck out, so LeRoy not getting anything in the 3rd, and they're still down 5-0. And Shoemaker swings and misses, evens the count off at 2-2. Matt Gabby on deck for LeRoy. It'll be his first at bat for the night. Swung on, hit to short, fielded by Hoffman, throws across to Pontillo in plenty of time, and Shoemaker is retired for the 2nd out of the inning. Hoffman picking that clean and making the good throw for the 2nd out. And now Matt Gabby into the game. This will be his first at bat as he took the place of Steve Keaton, who was the starting right fielder for LeRoy. Gabby going in last inning. First pitch from Mazer is right down the middle of the plate, strike 1.
And Mazer's doing now exactly what his coach wants him to do, just throwing strikes, putting the ball right in there and making them hit their way on.
He's got the 5-0 lead. Throw the strikes, and if they hit them, let the defense do the work for you. No sense in walking anybody now. You don't have to be a little extra careful now with the 5-0 lead. You got a little bit to play with here. Pitch bounces in the dirt. It runs the count to 2-1. Air conditioning still not working up here in the booth, George. They're still working on it.
If you lean out, it helps.
Macer's pitch is fouled right back. Good thing the backstop's in front of us. That would have been right up here with us. And now Mazer coming back to even the count off at 2-2 to Matt Gabby. Bottom of the fourth, Batavia on top, 5-0. Next pitch is high, and that's going to run the count to 3-2 on Gabby. Josh Wallace, who went into the game at third base in the third inning, on deck for LeRoy. Pitch down and low on ball 4. So Gabby, being patient at the plate, draws the base on balls. And he's down at first base, and that'll bring up Josh Walls. Walls coming into the game in the third inning to play third base, as third baseman Bobby Weddle had moved to the mound. And then Tommy Rowland, who was the starting pitcher for LeRoy, out of the game. So Wallace batting in the spot that was held by Rowland to start the game. Gabby going on the pitch out. Here's the throw. It's going to be to the left of second base. And Hoffman picks it up before it goes out into center field. So now Matt Gabby stealing second base with 2 outs. On the pitch out, Walls will have a 1-0 count. Gabby the runner down to second. Roach going over to hold him on. Gabby backs up, and here's the pitch. Catches the outside corner, strike 1. Good pitch there, is right on the outside corner.
Again, as we said earlier, there's a wide corner tonight.
Every umpire has a different strike zone. It's all
That's
supposed
right.
to be between the knees and the armpits and the corners of the plates, but have you ever seen 2 umpires call it the same way?
Never, never. But home plate umpire Sam Garino is being consistent tonight with that call.
I think that's all the coach will ask. He wants to be consistent. If you're going to call a pitch a little low or a little high, do it every time so
That's
the batter
right.
knows.
And the batter knows what to swing for and what to hold on.
Wall swings and misses, strike 2. It's really hard, though, if you have an inconsistent umpire. One pitch you might call a little high, and the next time not. The batters get confused. They don't know what to swing. At least if he's consistent, they know what he's calling. And I think that's all anybody will ask is umpiring or officialing of any type. Just be consistent. There's a called strike 3 on the outside corner on Wallace. Wallace doesn't agree with it, but it's not going to matter as Wallace strikes out here to end the 4th inning. And the score at the end of 4, it's Batavia 5, LeRoy nothing. Remind you once again, tonight's game is being brought to you by Genesee County Cablevision. And we'll be back right after this.
Mistakes by LeRoy on the defense has made the difference in this game. And amazingly, in the last inning, excellent defensive play by LeRoy stopped the Batavia offensive team.
Manager Randy Jordan twice with runners at first and third in the 4th inning, trying to steal a run as he sent his runner from first. But both times, LeRoy playing the defense perfectly and picking off the runners before a run could score and held them in the 4th inning. But in the 2nd inning, Pontillo led off with a single. Schulte reached on an error by the pitcher Rowland. And then Sam Salone grounded out second to first, and then Mazer reached on a fielder's choice. It would have been the 3rd out of the inning with no runs scored. And then Batavia scoring 4 runs because of the errors, and they lead at 5-0. Jason Armstrong for Batavia is into the game now for Frank Pontillo. Armstrong will play first base and bat in the 6th position. Leading off the 5th inning for Batavia will be Lou Colantonio, as he went into the game in the 3rd out in left field, and Schulte, the left fielder, moved over to center field. As the fans start up the Lou cry. Colantonio with his first bat of the night. Weddle on the mound now for LeRoy as he's starting his 3rd inning of work. Through 2 innings, he's only allowed 1 hit. He struck out 2 and walked 1, or make that walk 2. Struck out 2 and walked 2. Hit to Tresco at first base, and Tresco makes the catch for the 1st out. Colantonio popping out to Tresco.
Now batting the 3rd baseman, Davey Moore.
It'll bring up Dave Moore, the 3rd baseman. Let's check Weddle's stats once again. Actually, Weddle threw the first 2 innings with 1 strikeout, only gave up 1 walk and 3 singles. That's Weddle's stats through the first 2 innings of work. But most important for LeRoy is he shut out Batavia in the 3rd and the 4th inning. And he gets Lou Colantonio to pop out to Tresco down to first base to lead off the 5th. They'll bring up Dave Moore. He swings and misses at Weddle's first pitch for strike 1.
That's a nice curve that Weddle threw up there on the inside corner. It had Moore backing out on it.
We're in the 5th inning now with Batavia with that 5-0 lead. LeRoy going to have to get a run or 2 here in the 5th inning to get back into this one. Hit down to 3rd. Wallace fields it on the backhand. Long throw to Tresco in time to get Dave Moore for the 2nd out of the inning. Nice backhand play by Josh Wallace and the strong throw to Tresco at first to get Moore.
Excellent play by the 3rd baseman.
It's going to bring up Jason Armstrong, who is pinch hitting for Frank Pontillo.
Now batting the first baseman, Jason Armstrong.
Armstrong wearing number 28. Weddle's first pitch is high and outside. 2 down here in the top of the 5th inning. Batavia on top by a score of 5-0. Jason Armstrong getting his first at bat of the night. See his pinch hitting for Pontillo. Next pitch right down the middle of the plate. Strike 1. Evens the count off 1-1. Armstrong was backing out on the pitch.
Again, that curveball by Weddle has the Batavia batters stepping out on it.
Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Weddle throwing the fastball by Armstrong on the outside corner. Armstrong swinging through and missing, and now the count 1-2 on Jason Armstrong, who will still stay in the game and play first base for Batavia. Weddle's 1-2 pitch on the way, just high. Armstrong looking back like, are you going to call that a strike on me or give me that one? And Sam Garino said, just a little bit high, Jason. We're going to call the count 2-2 and let you go again. There's a look at Armstrong. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that's a strike 3 as it sweeps right over the inside corner. Armstrong didn't agree, but it did look good from here, and Armstrong is struck out. So Batavia, for the first time tonight, going down 1-2-3. And the score at the end of 4 1/2, it's Batavia 5, LeRoy nothing. We'll be back with the bottom of the 5th inning right after this. 5th inning with Batavia on top 5-0.
Now playing center field for Batavia.
And Batavia
Rob Hale.
making another defensive change as Rob Hale will go back into the game and he'll go to center field. And once again, Mark Schulte, who started in left, moved to center when Colantonio came into the game. Now Schulte will move back to left field. And Jason Armstrong, who struck out to end the 5th inning, goes to first base. And I'll tell you, with the substitution rule, George, it kind of messes your scorebook all up. You got them going in, going out, and there's no place to put them.
You have to use the initial stet for when they go back in.
Tell Randy, no more of this. We're out of room here. Billy Davis going to lead off the bottom of the 5th inning for LeRoy. Davis going into the game in the 3rd inning for Dan Cody, who started the game at second base. Davis playing second base up for the first time. Ball bounces in the dirt. Evens count off at 1-1. Brad Mazer shutting LeRoy out through the first 4 innings tonight. He's really not been in too much trouble at all through the first 4. Davis swings and misses, strike 2. Mazer once again ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, just high. And the count evens off at 2-2. It'll be Davis and Dan Horgan, the leadoff batter, followed by center fielder Jason DeSev here in the 5th inning for LeRoy. 2-2 pitch, swung on and fouled straight back out of play. Davis stays alive.
Don't shake the fence.
Davis trying to get on, be the leadoff base runner here for LeRoy in the bottom of the 5th as they're down 5-0. Pitch on the way, hit down but foul down the right field line. Ball going out of play, so Davis following the last 2 pitches from Brad Mazer out of play. And now we're going to have a little delay as we had to wait for the ball to come back into play as the umpire, Sam Garino, is out of baseball as a home. Once again, Davis with a 2-2 count. Here's Mazur's pitch, and that's inside and comes back to the screen. So Davis, by fouling a couple pitches off and then taking that pitch with a 3-2 count on him. So again, it's an overcast night here in Batavia at Williams Park, but so far the rain has held off. It rained just a little bit a couple minutes before the start of tonight's game. But no rain once we started. Here's the 3-2 pitch on the way, swung at, and once again fouled off down the right side out of play. Jason Armstrong giving chase, but with no chance, as that was a line drive foul ball that hit off the fence down the right side. And Davis staying alive and doing a good job as he's fouled off 3-4 pitches now. Once again, 3-2 pitch on the just off the outside corner. Catcher Sean Ball kind of agreed with me. It did look like it caught the corner, but Sam Garino saying no, it's just outside. And Davis with a good at bat there as he fought off some good pitches and then took ball 4, and he's on at first base with Horgan up. And the first pitch to Horgan is outside. Davis getting off the base, and Sean Ball, the catcher, was looking down, thinking about giving a throw down. And now Randy Jordan wants to come out and talk to Brad Mason. I think what he's going to do is just ask him how he's feeling and to make sure that he realized with that 5-0 lead to throw the pitch over the plate like we talked about earlier.
That's all he's wanting to tell him right now is how are you feeling? Are you tired? Or is the weather getting to you? Just throw that ball over the plate. He also may have noticed something mechanical that he might want to correct.
Mazur, through the first 4 innings, only given up 4 hits, and 2 of those have been by the starting shortstop for LeRoy, Tommy Dambra. Dambra has 2 singles. Tommy Rowland, the starting pitcher, also had a single for LeRoy. This ball is popped straight up. Mazur making the call, Mazur making the catch, so Horgan has popped out back to Brad Mazur. Bobby Weddle for LeRoy in the first inning also had a single, and that's the 4 hits that LeRoy has had so far in tonight's game. But no runs for LeRoy, and they're on the short side of a 5-0 score as Batavia scored 1 in the first and 4 unearned runs in the second. And Batavia leading 5-0. DeSev hitting the ball to the shortstop Hoffman. He'll go to second for 1. Here's the throw to first, not in time.
Very difficult for these 13-year-olds to make that difficult 6-4-3 double play. They just don't have the strength in the arm to make those throws.
Hoffman getting it over to Roach, and Roach making the turn in. DeSev, who can move pretty good, got down the line in a hurry. But most important for Batavia, they got the lead runner in the second out of the inning. And now Dambra coming up to bat for LeRoy has 2 singles. Singled in the first and singled in the third. He's perfect, 2 for 2. DeSev going, Dambra gets around early and fouls it down the left field line out of play. Dambra way out in front of that pitch. Tom Borelli down 5-0 though, trying to get something going as he had DeSev running on the pitch. Dambra was swinging on the hit and run, but Tommy Dambra out in front of the pitch and fouled it off down the left side. DeSev going again. This time it might work. It's in the hole. Hoffman with a nice play. Going to have to go to first. Here's the throw. In time. Armstrong making the stretch and then getting back and must have just touched first base as he was pulled off. But Hoffman, who was going to second to cover as DeSev was running, the hit and run almost working. But Hoffman doing a nice job to get in the hole to cut off the ground ball, and then with a long throw to first base. And Jason Armstrong with the stretch, and they got back just in time to put his foot on first base. And Dambra throwing out. So nice play by Hoffman there to end the 5th inning. And the score at the end of 5, it's Batavia 5, LeRoy nothing. We'll be back with the top of the 6th inning. Rick Krasinski back with George Giannopoulos at Williams Park in Batavia. Batavia on top of LeRoy by a score of 5-0. As we are going to the top of the 6th inning, 7 innings in senior league play. So Brad Mazur, the starting Batavia pitcher, 6 outs away from a victory, which would move Batavia down to Fredonia next weekend. LeRoy, if they can come back and win, would force a 3rd game in this 2 out of 3 playoff. which will decide the winner of District 3 13-year-old. Ground ball to Dambra, fields it cleanly. Here's the throw to Tresco at first base, in time for the out. Schulte grounding out to
Danbra's a fine little
Dambra.
defensive shortstop and a good hitter too.
Probably the best all-around player on this LeRoy team. He can field with the best of them, and he's definitely the best contact hitter on the team. And you've seen it tonight as he's made 3 or 4 nice plays at shortstop, especially the one play where he had to go on the backhand on the short hop, making the play. And he's 2 for 3 at the plate. And he did end the 5th inning by grounding out, but an excellent play by Hoffman as he had to go into the hole with a long throw to first base. Right back to Weddle. Weddle throws to first in time for the out, and Sam Salome. Well, let's make that Chris Bartz. Chris Bartz came in to pinch hit for Sam Salome. And Bartz grounds it back to Bobby Weddle for the second out here in the 6th inning. And this game, since the 2nd inning, George, has really started to move along as Weddle now has retired 5 straight Batavia batters. As we are in the top of the 6th inning, and Brad Mazer, the pitcher, is up for Batavia. Mazer shutting LeRoy out through the first 5. And he has a comfortable 5-0 lead to work with now. Weddle trying to throw the breaking ball, but it slipped out of his hand and stayed inside, and the count goes to 2-0 on Mazer.
Yes, Bobby Weddle has sure come in and slowed down this Batavia offense.
That pitch fouled back on the right side. As we mentioned, LeRoy definitely could be in this game. All 4 runs in the 2nd inning were unearned. And actually the run in the 1st inning was helped along by a couple balks, so who knows, we could have a 0-0 tie, but that's baseball.
A couple of balks and a pass ball in that 1st inning led to the first Batavia run. So
just goes to show you how important defense is as well as offense.
Exactly.
So
with a little bit of defense.
Can't be a one-dimensional team. There's a sweeping breaking ball, and Mazer reaching out and fouls it down the right field line. Actually, the pitch looked to be outside, but Mazer going with, and the count full at 3-2. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning.
With 2 strikes, he's protecting the plate, so anything close, he's going to try to put a bat on it.
Weddle into the windup. The pitch is outside, and Mazer is going to walk. Bobby Weddle, after retiring 5 straight, gives up a base on balls to Brad Mazer.
Now batting the 2nd baseman, Jeff Roach.
And that'll bring up Jeff Roach. Roach starting the game, but this will only be his 2nd at bat of the night as he came out for a couple innings as John Clapp had gone in. Roach in the 1st inning on the grounded out to Tommy Dambra to start this game off. And now Weddle's pitch is outside. Brad Mazer, the runner, first 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning. Mazer with a good lead. Tresco holding him on. And the breaking ball stays inside, runs the count to 2-0. Weddle working on the stretch. He hasn't had to do this for a few batters now. And he throws it by Shoemaker. It goes back to the fence. Mazer easily down to 2nd base, takes the turn. And he'll stay there as Shoemaker runs it back in. And Roach with a 3-0 count. Have to see if Randy Jordan will be giving the hit sign with Mazer down at 2nd base in scoring position. He takes all the way on the pitch, strike 1, 3-1. Now I have to see if he's going to be swinging away now or taking another pitch. Let's say with 2 outs now, he'll be swinging. Trying to get Mazer in for that 6th run. Breaking ball, hit in the hole. Dambra tries to backhand it off of his glove. Horgan comes in to pick it up. And Dambra deflected it, but Horgan, playing shallow, got in quickly to get it in before Mazer had a chance to try to score. But that'll be a base hit for Jeff Roach. He's down at 1st, Mazer at 3rd, and we're going to have to see now what's going to happen with runners at 1st and 3rd. Back in the 4th inning, twice, Batavia trying to put a play on where they were trying to get the runner home from 3rd, but both times failing on it. Now here we go again in the 6th with runners at 1st and 3rd with 2 out.
Now batting the catcher, Sean Ball.
That's going to bring up Sean Ball, the catcher. Left-handed batter. There goes the runner for first. Ball swings on it. That's going to be down the right field line. Gets by Gabby. It's going to go to the fence. One run's going to score. Ball on its way to second. It's going to score 2 runs. The ball's going to stay at second with a double. A 2 RBI double for Ball as Roach comes around to score, as well as Mazer. And all this for Batavia in the 6th inning, happening after 2 were out. Sean Ball with the best hit of the game as he got around on the fastball right down the line. Gabby trying to cut it off, could not get to it, and the ball went all the way to the fence. And on the double, Roach and Mazer both coming around to score, and now Batavia has a 7-0 lead. And Weddle's next pitch is outside in the dirt as Chris Hoffman is the batter for Batavia. Weddle looked to be in good shape here in the 6th inning as he got Schulte to ground out to Danbra short, and then Chris Bart's pitch hitting for Sam Salone grounded right back to Weddle. But after that, he walked Brad Mazer on a 3-2 pitch. And then Jeff Roach singled, and with runners at first and third, Sean Ball, the Batavia catcher, doubles down the right field line to score 2, and now it's 7-0. Runner going to third. Here's the throw, but it's in the dirt. Wallace scoops it up. Not in time, and Ball steals third base, and now Sean Ball only 90 feet away from giving Batavia their 8th run. Weddle's pitch high and outside, and that runs the count to 3-0. Weddle pitching 2 2/3 of fine baseball. Now all of a sudden maybe tiring a little bit as it's a hot, muggy night here at Williams Park in Batavia. Pitch inside, it actually goes behind Chris Hoffman, and Hoffman gets the walk.
The catcher did a superb job to knock that down to keep it from going back to the fence and save another run.
The pitch was actually behind Chris Hoffman, and with a 3-ball count, wouldn't have done Hoffman any good to get hit by the pitch because he was going to first anyway, so he got out of the way in a hurry, and Shoemaker, as you said, doing a fine job of getting the glove on it as the pitch was actually thrown behind Hoffman, and Shoemaker knocking it down, and Sean Ball, who was down at third base, had to stay. So now Batavia once again with runners at first and third here in the top of the 6th inning. And it's getting a little bit dark out there. It's overcast and looks like we could get some rain at any minute now. The air conditioning still not working, but they're still working on it. Hoffman down at first. We'll have to see if he'll be going on the pitch. Sean Ball at third. Hoffman stays at first, and Rob Hale, who is back into the game,
Now batting the center fielder, Rob
fouls the first
Hale.
pitch back. Count 0-1. The way Mazer's pitching, that 7-0 lead should be enough for Batavia. Ball fouled down and out of play down the right field line is on the pitch. Play, and that'll send Hoffman back to first. Sean Ball still down to third.
And Mike Tresco showed a lot of hustle getting over right to the fence and in good position. Had that ball stayed in play, he would have, I'm sure, made the play.
So one thing you want to do as a defensive player is find the fence first and then pick up the ball. It's hard when you're running and you don't know where the fence is. You're conscious of it. If you know where it is and you can hold it, then you can actually make a catch. Otherwise, you're not going to make. Hoffman going easily on the play, and that's a balk that time. Weddle had bent the knee coming to go to home. And Hoffman timing that one perfect because Weddle had started to bend the knee to come home. Once he stopped, that's Danbra, and Bart's grounded back to Weddle. But they scored 3 runs since, and that's going to bring up, or that's Rob Hale still up to bat. Hoffman running, and Hale pops up to second base. Tresco makes the catch as he calls off Davis. And finally, Batavia's put out here in the 6th inning. But for Batavia, they come up with 3 runs on 2 base hits. And for Batavia now at the end of 5.5 innings, they lead LeRoy by a score of 8-0. We'll be back with the bottom of the 6th inning right after this. For Batavia, Chris Bartz, who batted for Sam Salone back in the 6th inning, stays in the game in right field. And also John Colantonio is going to go into the game in left field for Mark Schulte. Weddle swings and misses at Mazer's first offering
Now
here in the bottom of the
LeRoy,
6th inning.
The pitcher, Bobby Weddle.
Brad Mazer pitching in a fine game for Batavia. He has shut out LeRoy through the first 5 innings. 0-1 pitch on the way, inside and low. That evens the count off at 1-1. Bobby Weddle singled in the first inning, struck out in the third. This is his 3rd at bat of the game. Pitch high, 2-1. Weddle wanting to get on base any way he can here for LeRoy, as they're going to need to get a few runs here right now in the 6th inning, as they're down by a score of 8-0. Count goes to 3-1. Mazer 6 outs away from getting the victory for Batavia. The way he's pitching tonight, the 8 runs definitely should be a safe margin. Weddle swings and misses. Strike 2. Full count now, 3-2. Mazer has only walked 3 batters tonight. And the 3-2 count on Weddle. Here's the pitch, just high, and Weddle draws the base on balls here to start off the bottom of the 6th inning for LeRoy. Bob Weddle down at first, and Mike Tresco, the batter.
Now batting for LeRoy, the first baseman, Mike Tresco.
Tom Burley, LeRoy's manager, coming down to talk to the home plate umpire and asking to put a white ball in play. As we mentioned, it's kind of dark here. And I think Tommy wants to make sure his hitters can see the baseball as they're down by 8-0. Tresco hits a fly ball to right field. Bartz, who is into the game, makes the catch. And Weddle has to stay. So Chris Bartz, with his first chance of the game, makes the catch on Mike Tresco's fly ball to right field.
And he looked a little uncertain on that as he moved first to his right and then came back to his left. But of course, that's a typical hit from a right-handed bat to right field. With that spin on it, it wants to come back to him. Good play by Chris Bartz, who's normally an infielder. Bottom
line is he made the catch, and that's what counts at this point
that's
in the
right.
game. So Tresco flying out to Bartz in right field for the first out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Greg Shoemaker, LeRoy's catcher, coming up to bat. Greg 0 for 2, striking out in the 2nd and grounding out to Hoffman in the 4th. Weddle easily stealing second base. Now with 1 down, Weddle at second base. LeRoy trying to break that shutout. They only scored 1 run last Tuesday night in the 5-1 loss, and they haven't scored yet tonight. Swing and a miss by Shoemaker, strike 2.
This is a good move on the part of the league and the umpires to bring in brand new baseballs, so both the batters and the fielders can see the ball as it comes to them.
It is getting dark out there. 0-2 pitch, fouled back straight out of play. Shoemaker staying alive. Brad Mazer throwing shutout baseball through 5 1/3. Here's the pitch, just low. Count goes to 1-2. Bobby Weddle led off the 6th inning with the base on balls. He's stolen second. Tresco flying out to Chris Bartz in right field. Now Shoemaker up with a count of 1-2 and swings and misses, strike 3. So Greg Shoemaker has struck out for the 2nd time tonight. And that'll bring up Matt Gabby.
Now batting the right fielder, Matt
Gabby replacing Steve Keaton in the 3rd inning. Came to bat for the first time in the 4th inning and walked. And now he'll be hitting for his 2nd time, first official at bat. Gabby swings and misses, strike 1.
Took a nice cut at that ball and kept his head right down on it all the way through his swing. If he keeps that up, he should make contact.
Next pitch on the way, high and tight, 1-1. Mazer has been around the plate most of the night. As you mentioned, only walked 3.
Typical performance for Brad Mazer. He is a control pitcher, not overpowering speed or great stuff, but he throws strikes.
1-1 pitch to Gabby, just low, 2-1. I think if you asked Randy Jordan if before the game, if he said Mazer could hold him to 3 or 4 walks, he'd be happy with it. So far, he's held to 3. Oh, those bases on balls. Next pitch to Gabby high, and we start talking about his control. He runs the count to 3-1. But he's done this a few times tonight, and he's managed to come back. So with the count 3-1, Weddle's down at second base. Gabby up to the plate, and Josh Wallace on deck for LeRoy. Swung on and missed, strike two. So Mazer with the full count on Gabby. Throughout the night, has managed to come back if he's gotten behind in the count. And once again, getting behind 3-1 here, but it's thrown a strike. And here's the 3-2 pitch on the way. Swung it and fouled right back, just over our heads. Geez, I hope it didn't hit the air conditioner on the way back there.
Maybe it'll fix it if it did. Maybe that's what we should ask for.
So once again, Gabby staying alive. Weddle was going on the pitch, not this time. The pitch, whoa, just low, and Gabby once again draws a walk as he did in the fourth inning on the same type of pitch. It just missed. So LeRoy now with runners at first and second. They had runners at first and second in the first inning as Danborough had singled and then went to second on Weddle's single, so they had first and second. But that was the only inning that LeRoy had two base runners at any one time.
Now batting the third baseman,
Josh Wallace up for the second time. He struck out in the fourth inning. Wallace coming in to play third baseman. Weddle went to pitch for Rowland. Hit on the ground to Moore at third base. Moore flipping to Hoffman at third. And I guess he got the base, he wasn't sure. Nice play there by Hoffman coming over to cover third, and Moore giving him the flip. So the force out at third base is going to end LeRoy's hopes of scoring any runs here in the sixth inning. And with 1 inning to go, Batavia comfortably on top of LeRoy by a score of 8-0. We'll be back with the final inning right after this.
Davey Moore.
And Dave Moore, who ended LeRoy's hopes in the sixth as he fielded Josh Wallace's ground ball and flipped to Hoffman covering a third, will lead off here in the seventh inning for Batavia. It'll be Moore fouled by Jason Armstrong, and then John Colantonio. Fly ball deep left field over Horgan's head. And going to second is Moore. Go around second and stay right there as Horgan got it into Danborough. But Moore with a nice poke to left field over the head of left fielder Danny Horgan. He leads off the seventh inning with a leadoff double for Batavia. Batavia already on top by a score of 8-0. Looking at strike three is up for the second time. And Weddle's curveball just misses inside. And it's ball one, 1-0 on Armstrong. Dave Moore, the runner for Batavia, down at second base. He's trying to steal third. Armstrong swings and misses. Shoemaker's throw is in time, and he's out. Dave Moore out trying to steal third base as Shoemaker made a nice throw down to Josh Wallace, and Wallace putting the tag on, and Moore is out. Armstrong.
Perfect throw, and that's exactly what he delivered.
Armstrong did a nice job of standing right up straight in the batter's box,
Yes,
and it makes it difficult with a right-handed batter in there for the catcher to throw. Armstrong swings and misses, strike two. And the batter does have every right to stand right in the batter's box and not move, as long as he's not jumping into the way of the catcher.
Yes, he does, just so he stays in the batter's box. And Shoemaker really showed me something with that throw. He put it right on the money. The catch and the tag were made in one motion.
So Dave Moore, after leading off here in the seventh inning with the nice double over the head of left fielder Danny Horgan, is thrown out at third base. But Batavia still with an 8-0 lead. Probably really doesn't make too much of a difference. Armstrong was called ball three, and here's Weddle's 3-2 pitch outside. Armstrong's going to walk. The pitch comes all the way back to the backstop. Shoemaker quickly after it, and we take a look at Armstrong, who was the one-out base runner down at first base. Mike Tresco holding him on. Yeah, I guess that definitely makes them brothers then, right? So John Colantonio getting his first at bat of the night. One out, Armstrong the runner at first. Pitch grounded down to first. Tresco's right through the legs. Right through the legs. Armstrong rounding second. He's going to try for third. Here comes the throw to third, but it's up the line, and Armstrong's going to throw back to second. And he's safe. Colantonio gets in as Danborough caught the ball, but was up in front of the base and could not reach back in time to tag Colantonio. But once again, LeRoy getting themselves in a little bit of trouble as Tresco with a chance throw down to second to get Armstrong on the double play. Came up with the glove too soon, and the ball went right through the legs. And on the play, Armstrong goes to third, and Colantonio goes down to second base. So Batavia with runners at second and third with only one out here in the top of the 7th inning. And that's going to bring up Chris Bartz, the right fielder.
Chris Bartz.
Bartz grounded back to the pitcher in his only plate appearance in the 6th. And Bartz now with the chance for a couple RBIs as he has runners at second and third. Sweeping breaking ball catches the inside corner for a strike. Count of 0-2 on Bartz. One out here in the 7th inning. Batavia on top, 8-0. Here's the pitch, swung on, hit the Dambra at short, fields it clean. He's going to come home. Here's the throw. Armstrong is out. Armstrong out at the plate as Dambra throws home to Greg Shoemaker, and Shoemaker's putting on the tag. Armstrong almost knocking the ball out of Shoemaker's mitt, but Greg Shoemaker held on to put the tag on Jason Armstrong. Tommy Dambra once again coming up with a nice fielding play for LeRoy. And Batavia with runners at first and third is Batavia's pitcher, Brad Mazer, is up at the plate. Bartz is going. Mazer hits it to right field. Gabby right there, though, to make the catch. And Gabby makes the catch to end the 7th inning. So Batavia threatening, but getting a couple runners throwing out. Moore was thrown out at third, and then Armstrong was thrown out at home plate. And Mazer lines out to right fielder Matt Gabby to end the top of the 7th. But we're going to go to the bottom of the 7th. LeRoy going to need 8 runs to tie it and 9 to win it. We'll be back with the bottom of the 7th inning right after this. Well, that's one thing you have to do. You have to slide at those bases on plays like that. Armstrong almost did knock the ball out of Shoemaker's mitt, but Greg Shoemaker holding on for tag and for the out.
In fact, it's a league rule. If there's a play, you must slide. So even if he had knocked the ball loose, the ump would have called him out.
Here's the pitch to pinch hitter Mike Mattern into the game for LeRoy.
Mike Mattern.
Mattern with his first pinch hit appearance swings and misses. Strike 2. Mattern batting for Billy Davis. Davis had come into the game for Dan Cody. And now it's Mike Mattern getting an at bat. Here's the pitch. Swung on to the right side, and a nice diving catch there by second baseman Jeff Roach. Mattern looking for a base hit, and Roach making the long run, diving out and making the catch. Defensive play of the game right there by Jeff Roach.
No doubt about it, and that's that quickness and speed that I mentioned earlier that Jeff Roach brings with him and fills that hole at second base.
Batavia has helped out Mazer with some good defense behind him tonight. They haven't made too many mistakes out there. And now with one out here in the 7th, Danny Horgan up for the 3rd time. Officially, he walked in the 3rd, struck out in the 1st, and popped out back to Mazer in the 5th inning. LeRoy down to the last 2 outs. Mazer looking for the shutout now. Pitch is high and inside to Horgan. Last Tuesday was Dave Moore who threw a 2-hitter and held LeRoy to 1 run, and now it's Mazer out there who has a shutout through 6 1/3. Runs the count to 3-0 though on Horgan. Jason DeSev on deck for LeRoy. LeRoy with only 4 hits on the night, so that's only 6 hits through 2 games. Not going too many games with only 6 hit through 13 innings. But Horgan draws the base on balls, and he'll be the base runner for LeRoy with 1 down here in the 7th inning.
Jason DeSev.
Randy Jordan going out to talk to Mazer. Once again with only 1 out here in the 7th inning, probably just telling him just to throw the ball over the plate as he threw 4 straight balls to Horgan there.
Batavia team got taken up and celebrating a little bit on that great defensive play by Jeff Roach at second base, and it might have just taken his mind off the sharp concentration that you have to have. So I'm sure the coaches wanted to settle him down and get him to throw strikes again.
Mazer 2 outs away from getting the shutout. DeSev shows a bump, pulls it back, and Horgan easily steals second base on the play. Could have been a set play where DeSev was just going to show the bunt and then pull back, getting the infielders moving and Horgan a chance to steal second base, as he doesn't show a bunt here, but the pitch is high.
It certainly discouraged the Batavia catcher, Sean Ball, from trying to make the throw to second.
You have to remember, as a catcher, the first thing on a bunt you have to do is catch the ball. Sometimes you have a tendency to come out of there in a hurry, and the ball will go by you. Here's the throw to second base, but Horgan back in easily. So on the play, DeSev pulled the bat back. Horgan stole second base, and Sean Ball did not even attempt to throw down. And now with one out, Horgan down at second and DeSev batting. Hit to the shortstop, Hoffman. Right through his legs, though. And now Horgan going to third. He'll stay there as the ball is picked up quickly out in center field. As Rob Hale, who started the game in center field, is back in there. Got to it quickly, and Hoffman had to go right through his legs for an error.
Now batting, shortstop, Tom.
And LeRoy with the chance here in the 7th inning to break the shutout that Brad Mazur is trying to throw. They have their best hitter up there, and Tommy Dambra. Dambra 2 for 3 on the night, singled in the first, singled in the third, and then grounded out to short in the 5th. Runners at first and third. DeSev going on the pitch. The throw to second base, but it's not going to work as Horgan holds tight at third. And when you throw to second base like that, it kind of gives away the angle of it, and you can see that something's on. What you want to do is throw right back to the pitcher, at least to give the appearance of going to second base, but
Right, the third baseman wasn't fooled at all. The third base runner wasn't fooled at all. He was going right back to third base. All they want to do in that case is get the runner down to second base in scoring position.
And now Mazur behind on Dambra with the count of 2-0. DeSev down at second, Horgan down at third. Batavia, though, on top, 8-0 with one out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the pitch is low and in the dirt, blocked nicely there by Ball. And a 3-0 count. And Dambra looking down, I'm sure temporarily will give him the hit sign, as his best hitter is up there with runners at second and third. But down 8-0 though, he just soon get him on first base too. First two runners don't count unless you get 5 or 6 more after him. And Dambra walks on the pitch, so Mazur walks him on 4 straight pitches. Mazur may be showing signs of getting a little bit tired, as through the first 6 innings he only walked 3, and now here in the 7th he has walked 2 right now.
Normally, you don't ever want to give a man a free base, but with runners on second and third and LeRoy's best hitter up, that really wasn't a bad base on balls.
Actually, that was the 7th walk. He had 3 walks through 5. Last inning, he did walk 2, and now he's walked 2 here. So Mazur showing a little signs of getting tired with the 8-0 lead. Randy Jordan going to try to stay with him through the rest of the game. But in an 8-0 lead, you just play back, because the old saying is it makes a 200 hitter a 300 hitter. More room to slap the ball through, and with Weddle up, swings and fouls it down and out of play down the right side. LeRoy trying to break the shutout that Mazur is throwing against him. Weddle with the count of 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Swung on, base hit, right field. That's going to score at least 1. DeSev rounding third. He's going to try to score. Here comes the throw to the plate, and it's just not in time, and DeSev scores. A strong throw, though, by center fielder. Rob Hale was up the line a little bit, and Bobby Weddle, with a 1-out base hit, scores 2 runs, and LeRoy now down by a score of 8-2.
As you said, that
Then Mike Madden, who pinch hit to lead off the 7th, was retired on an outstanding play by Roach, who was at second base at the time, or LeRoy could have another run in here with nobody out. First pitch by Roach is outside, ball 1. One 1-0 count on Tresco, the 5th batter. Tresco 0 for 3 so far. There's the strike. Tresco thought it was a little bit high, but it's called a strike, and that evens count off at 1-1. Tresco grounded to third to end the first inning, popped to second in the 4th, and flew out to right field in the 6th. That pitch is inside, 2-1. Greg Shoemaker on deck for LeRoy, and then he'll be fouled by Steve Keaton, who will pinch hit for Matt Gabby. Keaton started the game and then came out, but he'll go back in. Tresco way around early on that pitch and fouls it down the left-hand side. Way out in front of it. And the count at 2-2.
Jeff Roach throws a lot of junk, slow ball, followed by a slow ball.
He's an off-speed pitcher then, right?
Yes, LeRoy are going to have to adjust to that.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. Just misses. As that pitch was awfully close to take with 2 strikes. The old saying, close enough to call, close enough to hit, but Tresco taking the pitch and got away with it, and the count now full at 3-2. Roach from the stretch. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Tresco goes down swinging, and Roach comes in and gets his first batter on a strikeout. And now with 2 outs, it's up to Greg Shoemaker to try to keep it going for LeRoy. As they're down 8-2. Tommy Danber, the runner, at second. Bobby Weddle down at first. Greg Shoemaker, the batter, with 2 outs. Roach's pitch is inside, ball 1. Bottom of the 7th. 13-year-old District 3 Senior League Baseball. Pitch inside, runner scoring. Here's the throw to third. Danbra beats the throw. And on the play, Weddle fouls up and goes to second. So, head coach Tom Borelli showing some gambling there as he's down by 6 with 2 outs. He had his runners moving, and it pulled it off. And what it does now is it keeps the force play away from Batavia. So now any ball hit into the hole will have to go to first base to try to get the runner. Here's Roach's pitch. That's inside. And the count goes to 3-0. Roach getting a big strikeout now on Tresco on a 3-2 pitch to get the second out of the inning. Here's the 3-0 pitch to Shoemaker, and that's called strike 1. It's hard to tell with him because he points to first base for the walk, and that time he kind of pointed, but I guess that's a strike because Greg Shoemaker's still up there, and Sam is showing a 3-1 count. So Shoemaker, 3-1 count. Roach trying to finish this game off for Mason, and there's ball 4 inside. And that'll load the bases up again once more for LeRoy this inning. And now Steve Keaton will come back into the game now.
Now batting the right fielder, Steve Keaton.
Keaton started the game in right field, was replaced by Matt Gabby. But as we mentioned, in this tournament play, you can go back into the game if you're a starter, back into the same position in the batting order that you started the game in. And it's been done 4 times here tonight already. A couple times by Batavia, now by LeRoy. Here's Keaton, first pitch, called strike 1. Roach trying to get the final out here for Batavia. Mazer would be the winning pitcher if Roach can come through and do the job. Next pitch is hit right down to first to Armstrong, touches first base, and that's going to do it. Jason Armstrong short hopping it and then touching first for the easy out. And the Batavia 13-year-old senior leaguers have defeated LeRoy by a score of 8-2. LeRoy scoring 2 runs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Had the bases loaded, but then pinch hitter Steve Keaton grounds out to first base, and that does the ball game. And Batavia will be the District 3 winners, and they'll go up to Fredonia next weekend to continue on in tournament play. And for LeRoy, that'll be it for this season for them. But George Brad Mazer really doing a fine job pitching through the first 6 1/3 for Batavia. Then he tired a little bit, and then then Roach comes on to finish the game, and Batavia gets the win.
Yes, it was. It turned out to be a little more interesting game than it looked like at the beginning. Good pitching, good defense by Batavia. Some early mistakes by LeRoy gave Batavia a big lead at the end of 2 innings, 5-0, and then with LeRoy fighting back and showing that they never gave up until the final out.
Batavia scored 1 in the first, and then the big inning for Batavia, 4 unearned runs in the second inning, gave them a 5-0 lead. They added 3 more in the 6th, and that's their 8 runs. LeRoy coming up with 2 in the 7th to get on the scoreboard, but it wasn't enough. And once again, Batavia winning the 13-year-old Senior League District 3 championship by defeating LeRoy 2-0, by winning 5-1 last Tuesday and then winning tonight by a score of 8-2. A quick reminder that we'll